So we've all heard of a will, and it may conjure up thoughts of a grieving family gathering around an attorney on a table in a nice suit, reading off or watching a video of rich Uncle Robert's last will and testament. We've all seen those movies, but what exactly is a will, or formerly a last will and testament? What's contained within it? What is it used for? And so in this video, we're going to talk about that, and I'll share kind of our personal story, myself and my wife's journey and getting a will as well, and hopefully that highlights the importance of it. So let's go ahead and get started. So essentially a will, or formerly a last will and testament, is a legal document that's used to declare your wishes for the distribution of your assets, your property, care for any minor children or dependents that you may have. Pets. You also declare the assets that you may have. It does open it up for creditors. And having a will helps ensure that you do not die and move on past to heaven intestate, and have the states and intestate laws direct the distribution of your assets, or by some formula direct how who's going to care for your children. It ensures a softer benefit too. That's very important, is that it also ensures that your wishes are fulfilled. And it also doesn't cause any strife within your family. You know, whether did Bill want this done? Did Mom want to stay here? You know, whatever that may be. And before we get into the items that are included within a will, and then I shared a story that me and my wife have recently, is that a common misconception is that a will is really only for wealthy people. And really, that could not be further from the truth. Anyone over the age of 18 that has some assets or has wishes that they want fulfilled should have a will and discuss with an estate planning attorney. So what are the items that are included within a will? First off, you have a designation of an executor. An executor of your estate is a person, or could be a professional, that has a fiduciary duty to carry out the wishes of the deceased person according to their will. It can be a very timely and stressful process, so choose wisely when you're designating the executor of your will. It can be a paid position, get a percentage from the estate. Most of the time it's a family member. Sometimes it's a family member that may not have the certain skill set or patience or time to do that. So make sure that you choose wisely. The next part that goes into it are beneficiaries. So not only do you name the beneficiaries of your assets where they go to, but you can also say, you know, in the manner in which that they're going to receive those. The next part is final arrangements. So you lay out your wishes for any funeral or end-of-life processes that you want to have done. That's actually really important. There is no ambiguity. There is no wondering. It clearly states what you would like to have happen for the ones that you leave behind, which is really a blessing. And then finally is naming guardians. And this is where our story comes in. It's very important for young families. This states out in very clear and definite terms who is going to take care of minor children and any aging parents that you may have, any dependents. And it's better to have this in writing than trust a court to decide based on the formula of the intestate laws. So our story is that my wife and I just welcomed our first son into the world. First child, actually. And we wanted to have a very specific thing happen and where he goes if anything were to happen to us, God forbid, and we were to move to heaven early. And most likely the state's intestate laws would not have done that. It probably would have gone to someone else who we love very dearly, but might not have wanted. So our wishes might not have been fulfilled, but now that they are written in stone, it will, God forbid, we were to move to heaven early. So in this next section, I'm going to talk about why should I have a will. And we've already highlighted a lot of reasons on why, but I kind of wanted to recap and finalize that. And so a will makes sure that the wishes of the deceased are carried out and eliminates any questions about, what we would have wanted. It's there, it's in writing. For me personally, I take really great comfort in knowing that if I were to pass, my wife has clear direction on what to do with any assets or properties or whatever. And again, if we were both to move early, what happens to our son? And God forbid we were to leave early, there are other things in place and ways that he could be taken care of. So again, as I mentioned earlier, anyone over the age of 18 with assets should look to have a will and discuss it with an estate planning attorney. So finally, is a will enough? And the answer is no. Most likely no. It can be, but in a lot of circumstances, it's not. And it's part of, it's not but it's part of an estate planning strategy that you may have. Oftentimes, we may want to have more control over the assets after we pass and move on to heaven. And that is where certain vehicles like trusts come in. Think about children with special needs or addiction struggles. We might not want all those assets to immediately go, or they can't receive them yet. We may want to control a little bit more from the grave. And that's where a trust could come in and be a great vehicle to complement the will. In some cases, a will might not be enough. In addition, there are other items that are not best placed in a will. For example, things like life insurance, retirement accounts, IRAs, those have beneficiary designations, and it trumps a will anyway. So it's better to leave those out and use those in conjunction with the will. Just use beneficiary designations. I've seen circumstances where folks will come to us with accounts that they had at a prior institution or whatever, and they had named beneficiaries who are no longer with us. So not only is it important to update your will, but it's also important to update those beneficiary designations that I was just discussing. And then really, it is worth noting that having a will does not 100% protect against the need for probate, even though that's not necessarily a terrible thing. So I hope that this was a good introduction, kind of Wills 101, that kind of shed a little bit of light into that. There's so much more that we can talk about. There's many different types of will. There's pour-over wills. There's yada yada yada. But I just wanted to do a quick introduction to folks who might not have heard of that strategy or thought that it was only for folks with a substantial amount of assets, which it's not. And really, for me, it was more for making sure that our loved ones and our children are taken care of if something were to happen. And finally, there's no single legal document or strategy that solves every estate planning issues. A will is a great start, but it is vital to talk to an estate planning attorney on your particular strategy, and you can do that in conjunction with a certified financial planner who serves as a fiduciary to look at your overall financial goals. The estate attorney will look at your overall estate planning goals. They can work together, they can talk together. And there are other things that an estate planning attorney can do in conjunction with that. Look at power of attorney, healthcare directives, and these things are not part of the will, but they work in conjunction, and most of the time they're done at the same time. Like I said, this was a great introduction. I hope that it helped. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. And remember to be good to yourself and good to others.